That's the Olympic race.
Hearty welcome to the international webinar on the topic Contribution of Western Scholars towards Indian Studies. Very good evening to one and all. Let's begin this auspicious occasion with the most exquisite words of our ancient masters. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyandu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. The apt prayer, the apt verses of this time, this pandemic, Sarve Sandhu Niramaya. Greetings from Little Flower College, Guruvayur. Little Flower College, Guruvayur is a women's college in Temple town of Guruvayur in Thrissur district, Kerala state. We have 7 decades of experience in the field of education. Now, coming to our subject. Sanskrit is an ancient and global language. From Veda Vedangas, it's a repository of knowledge and wisdom. There is an assumption that Sanskrit is only an Indian language. Absolutely not. It's beyond that. It belongs to Indo-European language. Sanskrit holds an important position as one among the mother languages. It is an important academic discipline in many prestigious universities across the globe. The term Indology is a matter of widespread discussion. It is mostly constituted by Sanskrit texts, manuscripts, and its analysis. Scholars from different parts of the world have arrived in India in search of these manuscripts or scriptures or in search of our culture many decades ago. And they have contributed immensely to this discipline. As we all know, German scholars like Max Muller and all. Today, we will be listening to the topic, Contribution of Western Scholars towards Indian Studies, specifically towards Sanskrit studies. It is with enormous pleasure that I am here to welcome you all. At the very outset, I would like to welcome our beloved principal of Little Flower College, Guruvayur, who is presiding over this function, Reverend Sister Dr. G. Smatheris. She is a beacon of knowledge and a fountain of inspiration to all our activities. It is with much enthusiasm she encourages us for new ventures to explore the world of knowledge. Hearty welcome, dear sister.
Thank you.
I would indeed say that the presence of our renowned scholar, Professor Kapil Mehta, as our guest of honor is a matter of joy and grace for us. Even amid his hectic schedule, he is with us in this occasion. Dr. Mehta moved to USA in 1981 and recently retired as a professor of experimental therapeutics from the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, USA. He is the international vice president of Global Sanskrit Forum. During his tenure of 35 years at the Cancer Center, he made great contribution in the field of cancer therapeutics. He holds 12 US patents for various discoveries related to his research. Dr. Mehta, though he is more associated with the medical field, he is also interested in Indology and its research areas. A warm welcome, sir, to our session. Professor Dr. Francis A.P. is a man of erudite study, and his observations has contributed considerably to the academia. At present, he is a professor in Department of Vedanta, Sri Shankaracharya University of Kaladi. He has served in St. John's College, Anjal, St. Thomas College, Thrissur, at present in Sri Shankaracharya University. Let me mention his remarkable achievements. In the year 2004, he did his postdoctoral degree. He was doing his postdoctorate in Indian Institute of Advanced Studies. Awarded Fulbright Postdoctoral Senior Research Award in 2012. In 2013, he was awarded UGC Research Fellow Award. In 30 years of his teaching experience, he has visited many universities outside India. Being a priest, we lovingly call him Father. He is my mentor too. It's very happy to say that. He is here to enlighten us about the topic, contribution of Western scholars towards Indian studies. Definitely, he will be focusing towards Sanskrit studies. Hearty welcome, dear Father. Now, I would like to welcome the backbone of for the expanded study of this language, Global Sanskrit Forum. This initiative is a result of his hard work. He is the secretary of Global Sanskrit Forum, also assistant professor in Department of Sanskrit, Navanalanda Mahavihara Deemed University, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. I welcome you, sir. I request everyone to mute the microphone. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all other faculty, friends, students, and scholars. This webinar is being streamed through Zoom platform, and there will be a live YouTube session too. Kindly be with us. Let's begin. Now, I would like to welcome Reverend Sister Dr. Jisma Teres, the principal of Little College, Guruvayur, for the presidential address. Sister, please.
Good evening to one and all. Warm greetings from Little Flower College, Guruvayur. Today, we are in an international webinar in collaboration with Global Sanskrit Forum, RSM Bharat, on the topic Contributions of Western Scholars towards Indian Culture. Hearty greetings to today's guest of honor, Dr. Kapil Mehta, and resource person, Reverend Father Francis Arakel. Congratulations to Dr. Justin PG, Head and Assistant Professor, Department of Sanskrit, Little Flower College, Guruvayur, for his initiative to conduct this webinar. Contributions of Western scholars to Indian studies is a relevant topic to discuss among the academicians. Indology may be said to have come into being when European scholarship discovered Sanskrit. This is generally believed to have happened in the closing of the 18th century with the foundation of Asiatic Society at Calcutta by William Jones. Indology or Indian studies is the academic study of the history and culture, languages and literature of India. The term Indology is often associated with German scholarship. Names of scholars associated with these Orientalist studies were William Jones, Henry Colebrook, Nathaniel Halhad, Charles Wilkins, and H.H. Wilson. Now, this is a good opportunity to find what are the important contributions of these Western scholars in the development of Indian studies and Indian language. I think this is a good event and hope this will be a grand success with the association of Global Sanskrit Forum. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sister, for the words of encouragement. Thank you, sister. Now, I would like to welcome our guest of honor, our Indian tradition, as we all know, Atithi Devo Bhava. Our chief guest of the day, Professor Kapil Mehta. Sir, he is here. I invite you to grace this occasion with your words, sir. Sir, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. George. और बाकी के वरिष्ठ अधिकारी डॉक्टर जिस्मा जी, डॉक्टर फ्रांसिस और डॉक्टर मिश्रा जी तथा सारे इस मंच के साथ जुड़े हुए आर्यजनों को मेरा बहुत-बहुत अभिनंदन और नमस्कार. Let me start with a very beautiful verse from Can you hear me? Okay.
I request the participants to mute the microphone. I
Please.
request the participants to mute the microphone, please.
Thank you, Dr. George. Om Agnenaya Supatha Raya Vishwani Deva Bayunani Vidwan Yuyodhe Samajurana Meno Bhuyashtante Nama Uktim Vidhem. I feel very privileged and honored to be a part of this forum today. Particularly, it's being hosted by a school, a Little Flower College in Guruvayur, and I have very special affinity for both the state Kerala and the city or the town of Guruvayur. I had a couple of occasions to visit Guruvayur in Thrissur. There is a Amla Cancer Center where a good friend of mine, Dr. Ram Kutan, and his wife, Girija, excellent people. They were directing the institution, and they have dedicated their whole life promoting the natural products in the treatment and prevention of cancer. So I visited them a couple of times, and both the times I made sure to go to the temple of Lord Krishna in Guruvayur. Also, the city of Trivandrum, I have a very special memories about that. In the year 2002, we were attending a cancer conference which was being organized by Indian Association of Cancer Research. And at that meeting, can we go to a slide? I have a couple of slides, Dr. Mishraji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please. Sorry for the interruption. Can you see anything? So after the meeting, let me make it a full screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, so after the meeting, a local colleague, Professor Uman V. Uman, he took us for a short sail in the backwaters of Trivandrum, near Trivandrum. And we were really fascinated and struck back with the beauty of this town. And it was this time we thought, hey, you know, it's so beautiful and there's so much culture and history. So why don't we organize an international meeting to expose our Western colleagues to the history and culture of India by organizing such conferences? And that's so that's the time we kind of grabbed. We didn't have any kind of notepads or anything. We grabbed the napkins and we started making the notes. And 2 years later, in year 2005, we organized the first International Translation Cancer Research Meeting in Trivandrum. And Dr. Abdul Kalam, the then President of India, very graciously agreed to inaugurate that meeting. And then we had the president of MD Anderson Cancer Center, Dr. John Mendelsohn, as our keynote speaker. So it was extremely a successful meeting that encouraged us to continue these meetings and bring our Western colleagues to appreciate the beauty and culture of India. So then we organized in different parts, which are historical parts of India, like in Udaipur, in Varanasi, in Bhubaneswar, and so on, about 8 meetings so far we have organized. And I don't know if Dr. Pathak is connected with this forum today or not, but he is one of the co-organizers of these meetings. So they went very well, and people really appreciated what we were doing. So we all are aware of the in-depth knowledge which our rishis and our ancient scientists, we call them, had given us in the scriptures. For example, I have listed here few scriptures which discuss about various aspects of life, both spiritual as well as social aspects of life, like dharmas, also the archery, all these disciplines have been very well explained in detail and very logically in our scriptures. So our rishis were really great scientists, and they have made many contributions. And as you can see here, I've listed some of them that thousands of years back, they described things which are turning out to be true in today's world. And people are getting attracted actually to those facts. And I'm going to give you a few examples. Even the international scholars, they acknowledge that the rich culture and advances of scientific knowledge which was given by our rishis. For example, I have listed here only 4, like Will Durant, the American historian, said that India was the motherland of our race, and Sanskrit the mother of Europe's languages. India was the mother of our philosophy, of much of our mathematics, of the ideals embodied in chemistry or in Christianity, of self-government and democracy. In many ways, Mother India is the mother of all. Then the prominent scientist, Dr. Albert Einstein, said once, "We owe a lot to the Indians, who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made." I think that's a great compliment for the Indian ancient science. Similarly, you can read actually these 2 scholars, Grant Duff, who said that many of the advances in the science that we consider today to have been made in Europe were in fact made in India centuries ago, sorry. And similarly, this ambassador to USA, China's ambassador to USA, said that India conquered and dominated China culturally for 20 centuries without ever having to send a single soldier across her border. I think that was the strength of India. That was the power of India, the way we studied, the university, the first university was in India, the Tashkanda University, and then Nalanda University about 400 years before Christ. That means about 2,500 years back, these universities were formed. And there were about 70 different subjects which were taught in these universities. So besides all this, where we went wrong, actually today's topic reminded me the topic that contributions of Western scientists. shouldn't it be the other way around? The contributions of Indian rishis to the Western world. This is really kind of sad, but to whom we can blame them? Yes, to some extent, the foreign invaders, they did cause some damage to the scriptures. They burnt actually a lot of scriptures, which we still have not been able to recover. And for example, the Nalanda University was burning for years and years, and we lost a lot of good knowledge and scriptures. But we also have to take, to some extent, the blame of all that we didn't do our job, that the history of India was really hidden in those pages. The good news is that I think it's attracting the attention of Westerners, that the deep knowledge what our rishis have given, they're trying to prove it scientifically and providing the scientific base. For example, yoga, once you kind of promoted yoga, you educated people about yoga, you can see the impact that yoga is one of the most popular things, which has been given by India in the modern society. Now you hear different kinds of yogas, but still I think the task remains to educate people about the true Patanjali yoga, which involves 5 yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharna, dhyan, and samadhi. So we need to educate Western people about the whole process. The meditation, for example, meditation is becoming these days a very, very popular word. And there is a lot of research going on, and turning out that meditation leads to the secretion of certain hormones, which in turn turns on the genes or switch off the genes, which makes you happy, and that gives you the feeling of happiness. So there's a kind of lot of literature now coming out on the impact of meditation at molecular levels. Similarly, I think it's worth mentioning a recent experiment by engineers in the College of, in the University of California. So they recreated an aircraft that was based on the information or drawings which were given, which are described in the Rig Veda, one of the 4 Vedas. So where we went wrong, I think to some extent, because we were never given that kind of information. We were taught, though, in the classroom about Galileo's, the Newton law of gravity, without any mention about our rishis who thousands of years back, they discussed and described and indicated the similar things, in our scriptures. Like Aryabhata, was one of the rishis or Acharya, who described the principle of gravity, and that's how these different planets are held together. So I think, again, I like this quote, अगर भारत को फिर से विश्व गुरु बनाना है, तो गीता को कोड से नहीं, कोर्स में शुरू कीजिए, which I think is very true. I think we have to start educating our kids about the rich history we had, and so that they are aware of this and they're proud of this. That's very important. Today, if you ask any even adult or a kid, to name 4 scriptures and the rishis of India, I doubt that even 2% people would be able to do that. So I think it's very, very important that we educate our kids, and make them feel proud, so that the knowledge can be disseminated throughout the world. And also the platforms like Global Sanskrit Manch, which we are using this morning or evening to kind of discuss all these avenues. And I look forward actually to listen to the speakers this morning. I think it's very important we really support, both by society and government should support such platforms, which is doing tireless job in promoting the Sanskriti of Indian among the countries outside India. Like they started a very good journal, Pratipati, and I was fascinated with the articles which are published, and we need to really distribute it free of cost to as many people as possible to let them know actually what really India represented and where we should have been. And also by organizing such forums, I think it's a very, very educative. With that, I would like to stop here and would like to thank you all the participants this evening, and look forward to listening to the speakers today. Thank you very much. All the best and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. Your words reminded us that we are the part of a great tradition, the tradition which says to the world that we are best. Definitely, now we are eagerly waiting to listen to the resource person of the day, Reverend Father Francis Arakel, Dr. Francis AP, who is going to present a paper on the topic, Contributions of Western Scholars towards Indian Studies. With great happiness, I invite you, dear Father. Respected Father.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Father.
Yes. Am I audible? Visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Can I screen share? Okay. Visible? The PowerPoint?
Yeah, it's visible. It's visible.
Yes. Respected President of the session, Reverend Sister Dr. Gisma Therese, the Principal of LF College, the eminent guest of honor, Professor Kapil Mehta, the International Vice President of GSF and Professor, University of Texas, USA, and the advisor, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Mishraji, the Secretary of Global Sanskrit Forum, an Assistant Professor, Department of Sanskrit, Navnalanda Vishwavidyalaya, and the Coordinator, Dr. Justin, and the eminent members of the audience. I am very privileged to be here in our family of Global Sanskrit Forum. And the topic for us is the contribution of the Western scholars towards Indian studies. I am switching over to the PowerPoint. For the advanced learners, the review of literature will be useful. We have Joanna Milewska, the first European missionaries on Sanskrit grammar in Robert Eric Frickenberg, Christians and missionaries in India, cross-cultural communication since 1500. Routledge Curzon, London, 2003. And we have the next one, the pioneers in European Sanskrit scholarship in Indian Review. The details you can see. I'm just to see, showing the, reading the books or articles only. Van Haltoon, à la recherche d'une grammaire perdue. Johann Ernst Hansleden's Grammatica Grandonica retrieved. Müller, Jean-Claude, recherche sur la première grammaire manuscript du Sanskrit. Christoph Wille, Johann Ernst Hansleden, and St. Thomas Christians. Then next book, Philosopher, Pierre Sylvain, Toon van Hal, Lambert Isabert, Jean-Claude Müller, and Christoph Wille. In its forthcoming, The Origin of the Study of Sanskrit, of the grammarians Heinrich Roth, Johann Ernst Hansleden, and Jean-Francois Pons. The next one is classical one, the German Indologist, Valentina Rosenstein published. Then the review of literature continues. Rosalind O'Hanlon, Religious Cultures in Early Modern India. Professor John Thomas, Arnos Smriti. Professor V.A. Varghese, Arnos Smriti, 2018. The other one is 2019. Then the last one, Ernest turned Arnos. Ernest Hansleden, linguist par excellence. Then P. Chidambaran, Samskrita Prajarana Paddhati, Smaranika. Next one, Dharmaraj Adat, Samskrita Pathanam Keralathil, Velluvilligalum Sadhyathagalum. Anand Amaradas, Jesuit Presence in Indian History, Gujarat Sahitya Prakash, Anand, 1998. Another source book, William Halfast, India and Europe, Motilal Banarsidas published, New Delhi. R.K. Panda, Research in Indology, A New Perspective. Then Saroja Bhate, Indology, Past, Present and Future. Dr. K. Vasukutan, Bharatiya Vijnana Padhanangal. Ulrich van der Heyden, Mission Geschichte als Geschichte der Globalisierung von Wissen. N.J. Francis, Advances in Arts and Ideas. Dirish Kumar, GS, Science and Society. Now, after the review of literature, we are going to the introductory part. Sanskrit occupied a pivotal position in ancient India as a language of the administration, language of the elite, of higher education, and in many applied fields like literature, art, philosophy, medicine, engineering, etc. Later, it got aloof from the main line of common people's life, as some people considered it to be their own private property or monopoly. There may be many causes for this situation, even like the foreigners' invasions, colonial interest activities, all this caused this havoc. Yet, thanks to the dedicated intellectuals' efforts, Sanskrit studies got new vitality and adapted to the modern era's challenges. Sanskrit literary world, passing through the Western theories of research, provided and illumined many a new direction. Studies in the areas of language, religion, literature, philosophy, art, etc. got fructified. In the studies of art, language, and philosophy, the sages like Bharadamuni, Panini, and Sri Shankaracharya became pioneers in the global level. The Western scholars showed the infinite possibilities of studies of Sanskrit literature. The words like that of sage like Max Muller are noteworthy. Through the sacred books of the East series, the Vedic literature got global, universal, and imperishable status. The unbiased approach, passionate efforts, meticulous analysis, persevering journey up to the determined end made the Indian literature immaculate and vibrant. The foreigners, whether they be traders, administrators, religious missionaries, travelers, all studied, or a good number of them studied the Sanskrit text and translated into several languages. These efforts paved the way for the expansion of Sanskrit studies abroad. The Buddha and Jaina monks who traveled abroad and the merchants carried with them the Sanskrit text along with them and brought to the attention of the world of scholars. During the 19th and 20th centuries, several foreign scholars conducted Sanskrit studies. We can find the focus of academic study moving to the Indian or Indological studies from the Asian studies and further to the Sanskrit studies. And we can see the focus or narrowing down from the Asian studies, South Asian studies, Indian studies, or Indological studies, and further the Sanskrit studies. This is the trajectory of the focused study from the Asian studies, South Asian studies, Indological studies, Indian studies, then further to the Sanskrit studies. Today, most of the foreign countries have facilities like chairs, departments, seminars, sections for the Sanskrit studies. The first band of the foreigners to come to India, according to the available data, is the Greeks. The Oriental languages and literature was first discovered by the Europeans during the period of Alexander the Great. The rediscovery and the detailed description by the Europeans, especially by the missionaries, occur in the modern age. Then we have, after the Greeks, the Shakas, Kushans, Scythians. Then again, the Muslim bands, the Gori, Ghazni, Sayyid, Lodi, Khilji, Tughlaq, Mongols, all come in an era. Then we have the modern age. The first European missionaries who reached India in the 16th century were the Franciscans and the Dominicans. But the first description of Sanskrit came from the Jesuits in the 16th and 17th centuries. The similarity between Sanskrit and the European languages was first noticed by Thomas Stevens, 1549 to 1619, in the year 1583, in his letter to his brother in Latin language. Then, when we come back after the year of Stevens, after 200 years, William Jones in the year 1786 in his famous third anniversary discourse presented in the meeting of Asiatic Society of Bengal proclaimed Sanskrit language, whatever be its antiquity, is of wonderful structure. And that proclamation continues. That is the main anchor point of acknowledging Sanskrit, the grandeur, the greatness of Sanskrit in a tongue of foreigner. Then, after the Stevens, we have Roberto di Nobili, 1577 to 1656, was an Italian Jesuit who really endeavored to learn Sanskrit. He studied Sanskrit and he became just like an Indian, dressed like an Indian, lived like an Indian. That is Roberto di Nobili, the Italian Jesuit. Next comes the first European Jesuit who first truly described Sanskrit in a detailed way was Heinrich Roth, 1620 to 1668. His grammar on Sanskrit is called Grammatica Linguae Sanskritane Brahmanum India Orientalis. In English, the grammar of the Sanskrit language of the Brahmins of the East India. And it consists of 5 chapters. De Orthographia, about the orthography, letters. The next chapter is De Declensionio Munibus Nominum, the declension of the nouns. And the third chapter is De Conjugationibus Verborum, the conjugations of the verbs. The first chapter is De Verbalibus Sevu Kridanda, the Kridanda and the verbs. And the 5th chapter is De Syntaxi Huius Lingae, the syntax of the Sanskrit language. It is enlarged by a short appendix, Ad Universam Grammaticam, appendix towards the universal grammar. The Western scholars acquired much more information about India and Sanskrit in the 17th and 18th century. The Dutch scholar Abraham Roger wrote Open Deur tot het verborgen heidendom. In English, The Open Door to the Hidden Paganism. This was published in Leiden in 1651. Another German pietist scholar from Halle, Benjamin Schulz, who is said to have written Grammatica Grandamica Sevu Samskridamika. The French Jesuit GSF Pons, 1688 to 1752, also wrote Rudiments de la Langue Sanskritane and Latin. This was the major source of information about Sanskrit for the later linguists like Ayer Schirsi and Friedrich Schlegel. This is one more book. There is one more book written by Pons on Sanskrit grammar in Bengali characters, titled Codex Cartesius Code Continentum Grammatica et Dictionarium Linguae Sanskritane. Now, we have, after the Italian, German, we have the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the French. Later only comes the British. The man to be especially mentioned is Johann Ernest Hanxleden, 1681 to 1732, was another Jesuit. He has authored a book on Sanskrit grammar titled differently up to recently, Grammatica Grandonica or Grammatica Grandamia Sevu Samskridamika or Siddharupa Sevu Grammatica Samskridamika. the very recent rediscovery of it by Toon Val van Hal in Italy in the year 2010 is very important, both historically and linguistically. Originally, the book was written by Hans Leden, the German man, in the year 1700, but it was in oblivion, and this book was not at all available for the scholars. Now in the year 2010, this text, this manuscript was rediscovered from Italy, and the main reason or main cause was Toon van Hal. His grammar was most probably the basis for the later works of Paulinus Asancto Bartolomeo or Philip Westdin or J.P.H. Westdin. Now we have, after Hans Leden, another scholar coming, Paulinus Asancto Bartolomeo. His work is Siddharubam, Seu Grammatica Samskridamica, cui accedit dissertatio historico-critica in linguam Samskridamicam. Okay, the knowledge and understanding of Sanskrit among the Europeans was far from perfect in these times. Now, when we see the European scholars coming to India or staying in their countries in Europe and working on Sanskrit and publishing even the hardcore Rigveda by Max Muller, and these scholars, they were striving their best to take the Sanskrit out to the whole world. And the first band of scholars, they depended on the Sanskrit Pandits of India, and they were theoretical introductions to grammatical topics. For a long time, there was a European way of coming to knowledge and understanding of Sanskrit. The first attempts at this had, however, already been made, and the period between 1660 to 1790 left some valuable grammars of Sanskrit by the European missionaries. If we summarize the first European descriptions of Sanskrit grammar, we can say that all these grammars were prepared with the help of Indian Pandits. It was they who were major sources for information for European missionaries and European administrators, and without them, none of the works could have been accomplished. At this point of time, I would like to opine some statements. Sanskrit, being a hardcore language, very original, developed for centuries. This was not at all available for the non-Indians or the Westerners, if you say. And the Westerners were actually, they were mlachas. They were not allowed to hear the Deva Nagari or Sanskrit language. Not even the outsiders. In India itself, a small minority kept the language alive. And the vast majority of the people, they were not allowed to hear this divine language. And if at all they hear somehow, punishments also were there, meticulously done. So some people considered them as their private or monopolized item. That is also one cause for the situation of Sanskrit. Now we are trying our best to get Sanskrit globally acknowledged. Now, for this, even the Westerners also have their mites. So, when we compare with the 5 centuries of the European modern era European administrators, missionaries, or scholars related to Sanskrit studies, we can see mainly 2 bands. The earlier Sanskrit grammars written in Latin or Western languages, those scholars, they depended mainly Indian Pandits. And the Indian Pandits gave these informations of Sanskrit language, and the primers or the manuals written in the primers or grammars written during the 16th and 17th, 18th centuries were the first group of writings on Sanskrit. And when we come to the second part of the Europeans to India, we have more scientific studies, more in-depth studies, more studies more attuned to the more challenges of the time, studies more attuned to the scientific innovations, scientific developments through the centuries. So these 2 sets, we can find out these 2 sets of scholars on Sanskrit studies, we can demarcate it. To sum up and conclude, here are some of the points of differences between the 2 or many groups of Europeans and missionaries, which may be useful for analyzing their attitudes and orientations. When we compare the different sets of Europeans and the missionaries, we can find mainly 2 types of people with different orientations. All these grammars written during the early European period were prepared with the help of Indian Pandits. It was the Indian Pandits who were major source of information for the European missionaries. All these group texts were based on secondary grammars and commentaries to major Indian Sanskrit grammars. However, they came from Paninian tradition of grammar. They were not based directly on the works of Panini or Patanjali and so forth, but upon secondary grammars such as Vobadevas and Anubhuti Swarupacharyas. All these works were re-prepared, rearranged by the European missionaries who tried to apply to them European methods of descriptive grammars used for classical European languages like Latin and Greek. And none followed Indian ways of presentation. All were written in Latin. The final result was a Sanskrit essence in European form or garb. Whereas when we come to the second group of people, they are the knowledge seekers in most cases. They were seeking knowledge for knowledge's sake. They were more equipped with the advancement of science and technology. They utilized more primary sources, vernaculars, and local people. Actually, they were more of the nature of the authors of works of by, for, and with them. And we can classify or categorize the foreigners. When we say foreigners in a one group, we cannot generally generalize it. So among the foreigners, there are traders, administrators, missionaries, pilgrims, travelers, warriors, even medical doctors, accompaniment people. So many categories are there. And we have, with regard to the mapping, we are earlier 13th century Teutonian map. The earlier maps where the people tried to map the locations. Now, the search for India was very, very interesting. The land route towards India, India was always a fascinating country, or India was always a fascinating group of countries. So many countries together. In the year, something happened, 1453. The Turks attacked Constantinople, or modern Byzantium, Istanbul. And thereby, through Istanbul, Constantinople, or Byzantium, the Silk Route, or the main international NH, was passing by. And when the Turks attacked the Constantinople or Istanbul in the year 1453, the Western people, the Europeans mainly, could not reach India through the land route. And the Europeans, Spain, Portugal, Italians, Germans, the French, all the European people, they were trying to reach India. Somehow they have to reach India. So they were vying with one another, trying to come to India the other way about, sea route. So 1453 onwards, nearly 50 years, they tried to find out a sea route to India, the fascinating India. And at last, after 50 years, they survived. They became victorious. And the man is Vasco da Gama, 1498. In the year, Vasco da Gama and the team landed. And before that, 1492, Columbus, America Vespucci, all those teams, they started searching for India, for coming to India, crossing the Atlantic. They had the idea that when they extremely go towards east, they would reach India. That is their idea, according to their map study, cartography, existing at that time. And 1492, they started. Columbus, America Vespucci team started in search of India. And they somehow reached America. And they had the impression that the Indians, the so-called Indians, are not so white as the Europeans, rather black, rather not the African like black. But when they reached America, they saw the American people, they thought that they reached India, and they saw the people there red like people, and therefore they reached India. They saw the people and they are red, and they called the Red Indians. Even now, the Aborigines of America is called the Indians or the Red Indians. So later, after 60 years, 1498, this survivor, successor, one who succeeded in this process was Vasco da Gama. So 1453 onwards, about 50 years they took to find out a sea route to India, the fascinating India. At that time, we have the Silk Route and the Spice Route in and around ancient India. Just above the India, above the Himalayas, we have the red lines, red route, Spice Route. And below, in the ocean, sea area, we have the Spice Route, Ilaichi, cardamom, pepper. All these items were in huge quantity. They were transporting through the sea route. Okay, so we have around India the Silk Route and the Spice Route, India being the hub of these items. We have Max Muller, 1823 to 1900, and the stamp of India as a pure respect for this Rigveda scholar, Rigveda publisher, Rigveda printer for the first time, and as a paying homage to Max Muller, a German. And by the way, Germany is the second home of Sanskrit studies. First home, we can say anyway, Sanskrit, India. The second home of Sanskrit is Germany, even now. So, when we say the contribution of the Westerners to Indian studies, I would like to concentrate the Western countries towards Germany. Focus on torchlight on Germans. And the other side, Indian studies, I will focus on Sanskrit studies, Sanskrit related, focusing mainly. So Germans and Sanskrit in nutshell will be the core of this presentation. And the Max Muller is the key man, the German man, fully dedicated for Rigveda, Vedic studies, printed for the first time, even the sacred books of the East, to his credit. Another man, Hermann Gundert, 1814 to 1893. He was here in Kerala, studied more scientifically the languages, and he contributed to Malayalam language, dictionary, a grammar, so many works to his credit. More scientifically equipped man. Okay. Now, in the scientific era, 1785, 1786, William Jones, the Welsh man of the British administration, he had the proclamation, 1786, the third annual conference of the Asiatic Society of Bengal. And this proclamation begins like this: the Sanskrit language, whatever be its antiquity, is a wonderful structure, more perfect than Greek, more copious than Latin, and more exquisitely refined than either, yet bearing to both of them a stronger affinity, both in the roots of words and in the forms of grammar, than could possibly, and the quote goes on. This is the scientific relationship, finding out the scientific relationship between Sanskrit and the other Indo-European linguistic family, language family, Greek, Latin, Russian, Slavic, Hittite, the whole Indo-European mother languages, they are of the one family. And William Jones paved the way for this scientific further studies. And another man, William Carey, of the Calcutta-based Sarambur mission man. He was a scientist in the botanical line, geological line, language line, printed northeastern textbooks for so many classes, highly researched man, even in Sanskrit, even in Bengali, and so many languages. William Carey, Calcutta-based man. That German Indological study, the past and the present. The German-speaking countries like Switzerland, Austria, and Germany never had any colonial ambitions in India. Still, the German scholars contributed a lot to the Indological studies. The first European to write Sanskrit grammar seems to be Heinrich Roth, a German missionary. But this was not printed. Two other missionaries, Ernest Hansreden, who came to India to Kerala 1699 and stayed there until his death 1732. He was taught Sanskrit by two Nambudris, Kerala Brahmins. We call respectfully, Kerala Brahmins are respectfully called Nambudris. He wrote Sanskrit grammar and a Malayalam dictionary and composed hymns and poems in Malayalam also. J.P. Westin, Paulinos Asanko Bartolomeo, 1748 to 1806. An Austrian, stayed in Malabar coast for 13 years. He wrote two Sanskrit grammars and got printed in Rome in 1804. Even the Germans, they were very peculiar to Indian languages, even the Dravidian languages. Bartholomew Siegenburg, 1682 to 1719, wrote a Tamil grammar. J.P. Fabricius, 1711 to 1791, compiled a Tamil dictionary. Kannada and Malayalam also owe a standard dictionary to F. Kitten. These Kannada people, Karnataka people, they call it Kittalu dictionary, Kittens. And the Hermann Gundert Malayalam dictionary. Another German missionary, E. Trumb, 1828 to 1885, worked on Sindhi and Pashto. These authors did not make much impact in Europe. Now, when we come to the next century, the 19th century, Sir William Jones' translation of Shakuntala appeared in German rendering. The thinkers of Romantic movement were impressed by Indian thought and philosophy. August Wilhelm von Schlegel and his brother Friedrich Schlegel both studied Sanskrit. The first chair of Indology was established at Bonn University in 1818. August William Schlegel became the first professor of Sanskrit. He set up a printing press and printed Bhagavad Gita in Devanagari letters together with a Latin translation. The Prussian minister, W. von Humboldt, a scholar, linguist, and philosopher, studied the Bhagavad Gita and deeply moved by it. Due to his effort, a second chair of Indology was established in Berlin in 1820. Bob was the first professor of Indology in the Prussian capital. He is regarded as the founder of comparative linguistics. Gradually, several chairs in other universities were established in all the fields of Indological studies: language, literature, religion, sciences, philosophy, and art. All were undertaken, or most of them were undertaken in the 19th century. Thereby, we have the important areas of the German Indologists, German scholars towards India. Dictionaries, grammars, and works of references. Vedic studies, Middle Indic, that means Pali, Prakrit, and Abhramshas, the modern languages, epic studies, Puranas, Buddhism and Jainism, Indian literature general, poetry and metrics, Indian philosophy, grammar, lexicography, science and medicine, Dharmashastra and Arthashastra, epigraphy, history, art, archaeology, music, and other trends. Even in 1962, in Germany, Heidelberg, South Asian Institute of Heidelberg, founded in 1962. Enormous works have been conducted there. Important areas continued. What are they doing? Cataloging of all Oriental manuscripts in German universities, state libraries, and private collections. Cataloging of what? Cataloging of all Oriental Indian manuscripts deposited in German universities and libraries, even the private collections, and description of Jain manuscripts. K.L. Jarner, published from Cologne, published a catalog of Indian manuscripts. He also wrote an annotated bibliography of catalogs of Indian manuscripts. Project on catalog of Sanskrit manuscripts from Turfen. Another project, Nepal German Manuscript Preservation Project. Another project on conservation of Indian manuscripts. In total, when we say Germany is the second home of Sanskrit studies, and they are among the Westerners, the pioneers in the Sanskrit studies. Erstwhile, East Germany and West Germany, they had about 30 universities which were offering Sanskrit-related studies. Main focus of areas: Vedic literature, Puranas, Idihasas, Kavya, Natakas, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Sangeeta, Natya, linguistics, Jaina, Bauddha, Vedanta, Darsanas, Nikhandus, manuscripts, literary history, history of philosophies, all. And they thrived. The German universities during the beginning of the 19th century had setback due to the Second World War. As you know, the First World War and Second World War, the key focus was Germany. Even the 1914 to 1918, and from 1939 to 45, Second World War, and the earlier First World War, the Germans were the victims. And therefore, due to the financial crunch, they had the setback due to the world wars. Then again, with new vitality, emerged Sanskrit studies in Germany. After the Second World War, apart from the traditional German Indology, new study areas and departments began. Now we have, in the German-speaking area, we have Indological centers. There, Indian studies are generally called or are under Asian studies or South Asian studies or Indological studies or Sanskrit studies. So Indological centers are called either institute, seminar, section, etc. In Austria, we have Graz, Innsbruck, and Vienna, where Sanskrit-related studies are there. Federal Republic of Germany, the earlier West Germany, in that area we have Berlin, Bochum, Bonn, Erlangen, Frankfurt, Freiburg, Gießen, Göttingen, Hamburg, Heidelberg, Kiel, Cologne, Mainz, Marburg, München, Münster, Regensburg, Saarbrücken, Tübingen, and Würzburg. All these areas have the Sanskrit-related studies. They are promoting it. And the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, earlier, there we have the Berlin, Halle, Jena, Leipzig, Rostock. All these centers are famous for Indological studies. In Switzerland also they have the German-speaking people. There we have Bern, Freiburg, and Zurich for the Sanskrit studies. Now, to your interest, for our interest, we can see German embassy has published German Indologists, how the Germans are attracted, how the Germans contributed their maximum dedicated service for the Indian studies development. And we have n number of scholars, German scholars, dedicated for Sanskrit, Sanskrit-related studies, archaeology studies, Vedic studies, Puranic studies, Pali studies, Jain studies, Prakrit studies, so many. And the list you can see, you can read Humboldt, the first one, Wilhelm von, the third one, Wilhelm von Humboldt, and his brother also, very famous for Berlin Institute for Sanskrit Studies, August William Schlegel and Friedrich Schlegel, 4 and 5. They are brothers. They were very much fascinated, attracted to Indian studies. Then all these Sanskrit, all these people, numbering up to 38. We have the famous, you can see the arrow mark, Hermann Gundert, 25, Otto von Bochtlin, the first St. Peter's Dictionary. This man, Otto von Bochtlin, was responsible for first encyclopedia type book that is called St. Petersburg Dictionary, published from Moscow. Earlier in the 18th century, Otto von Bochtlin, number 25. Then we have 28, Theodor Aufrecht. 1 minute, I shall make it more legible, more clear. Enlarge it. Now we can see more. You can follow the names of the German scholars.
Yes, Father. Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Then Theodor 28. Theodor Aufrecht. This man was responsible for Catalogus Catalogorum, catalog of the catalogs, and this is one type of cataloging manuscripts. Suppose we have in Delhi so many libraries. Each library has catalogs, and in all the states libraries in India, all libraries have their catalogs. That is first layer, and from there, collecting all the details from the catalogs, we make the catalog of the catalogs. That is Catalogus Catalogorum, catalog of catalogs. And the first man who did it internationally is Theodor Aufrecht, 28, German scholar. Then 29, Theodor Goldstacker. Then 30, Rudolf von Roth. And 32, you can see the famous man, Max Müller. This man, German, he had the ambition of visiting India, but he did not, never visited India. In Germany, he studied Rigveda, collected the available majority of manuscripts, edited and published Rigveda in Devanagari script. A man more Indian than an Indian, Max Müller. That's why Indian government paid the homage for Max Müller by specially printing a stamp in honor of Max Müller. And we have the 37, Ferdinand Kittel. Now we have n number of 40, 54, Paul Doyson, 55, George Thibault, and this is the man for printing Pancha Siddhantika of Varahmihir. And we have now downwards Richard Pichel, Julius Joly, Hermann Jacobi, Theodore Zachariah, Schroeder. We have so many. I don't take much time. You can see the name of the book by the German embassy is German Indologists. The list again goes on. Heinrich 113, Heinrich Zimmer 120, Erich Frauwallner, Richard Hauschild 123, 125, Paul Hacker. Then 128, Valentina Stahe Rosen. This Valentina was responsible for the German embassy publication German Indologists. Okay, now Max Müller, his teachers were Brockhaus from Leipzig. He went for studying Leipzig, and his another teacher was Bob and Schelling when he went for further studies in Berlin. And when he went to Paris, there the guru was E. Bernoff, teacher. And they all unchangingly supported and oriented Max Müller for his Indian Indological Vedic studies. In 1846, East India Company agreed to pay the expenses of printing the Rig Veda with the Sayana's commentary. Other volumes in 1854, 56, 1862, and 1874 came out. And the first edition of the 500 copies soon sold of the Rig Veda. And later, the second edition's expense was met by the king of Vijayanagar. When Max Müller died in 28/10/1900 in Oxford, the most distinguished man paid glowing tribute to his scholarly personality and humane character. And this man was responsible for subsidizing the printed Rig Veda, out of his pocket money, so that the Veda should be popularized, Vedic text should be more available to the people, and such a humane character. Therefore, L. Tilak wrote when he died, in him, India has lost the warmest friend, the wisest lover, and the most enthusiastic admirer. Now you can see the main focus point: Asian studies towards Indian studies, or India studies, then Sanskrit studies. The trajectory goes like this. In the universities, in America, in several other countries, we have several departments. I have listed so many departments, so many areas, so many countries for Sanskrit studies internationally. If you permit me, I can go ahead, or if the time is low, I will stop here with your permission.
Dear father, you can conclude, but you can take some more minutes.
Okay.
Some more time you can take, but you can conclude within 10 minutes, father.
Okay. Now, I'm just skipping. I just show the slides. This is American area. In America, I was there in 2012 and 13 as a Fulbright scholar in the University of California, Berkeley. There, my mentor, my guide was Bob Goldman, or Robert Goldman. We call him very closely Bob. And this man, Goldman, and his wife Sarah Goldman, Ramayana English translation, Mahabharata English translation, English translation of Dunyalogavajana, linguistics, Paninian studies, several other works are there in America, printed, published. All Indian items, Indian knowledge systems, Indian philosophy, Indian grammar, Sanskrit grammar, Encyclopedia of Indian Philosophy, translations of several Ayurveda texts. All these are now going on in America, in several universities of America. Just like that, we have from Texas, our medical doctor, Kapil Mehtaji, very respectfully, from America, from Texas. Now, just like that, we have several other universities in UK. Several works are there in UK for Sanskrit-based studies, so that Sanskrit even now is very vibrant. America, UK, Germany, all these places. Now we have other areas, other places also. You can read the works, main works, the main personalities, the main centers of Sanskrit studies, Indian studies, Indological studies, Indian cultural studies, Indian history studies. In Italy, we have several scholars, several publications, several centers of Indian studies, Sanskrit studies. In Finland, we have very famous Leiden University. You can see the Sanskrit related studies and the May Trust areas also. Canada, the one name, Indian Ashok Aklujkar of British Columbia, Toronto University, Windsor, Calgary, Brock University, McMaster, McGill Universities. Their main areas, Vakyavidya tradition. So many areas are there. Okay, now you can go through. I don't read all these things. In Israel, Israel is very interesting. There we have Hebrew University, Jerusalem. There we have, very interestingly, they are promoting Sanskrit studies, Indian studies, Indian history studies, and there are some very eminent Sanskrit professors are also there. Johann Grinspan, very famous. And so Israel also, even very small country, they are also studying, promoting Indian Sanskrit studies in the Hebrew University, Jerusalem. So like that, several places. Now, to sum up and conclude, we can club all the foreigners together, but their interests are varying. Some are fully dedicated with full fascination for India, with full respect for India, full respect for Sanskrit. At the same time, there are some people with attacking mind, subjugating mind, colonizing mind. Now we have to we have to see their orientations, their attitudes, but the sum result, the net result is the promotion of Sanskrit worldwide, global Sanskrit. Even for this global Sanskrit Manj, Vaishiga Sanskrit Manj, is this. Now we have the globalized global Manj. All these Western scholars, even translation of Shakuntala, translation of Bhagavad Gita, all these translations paved the way for attraction for Indian studies, attraction for Sanskrit studies, Indian philosophy studies, Indian cultural studies, Indian religious studies. All these translations, they are efforts. So together, we cannot see India is alone. India is together, living together. Both West and East are more mutually complementary, never segregatory, not one way. It is not the one way, Sanskrit going there directly, no. Both ways, two ways, just like corona waves, first wave, second wave, third waves. So this fascinating non-Indians, they are in waves, they are coming. Just like that, Sanskrit in waves going outside. So many tarangas, just like Raja Tarangani, so many tarangas, so many waves of, so many lives of Sanskrit going abroad, coming back and developing in the present situation. Now we have a very vibrant, dynamic situations for Sanskrit studies worldwide. So thank you very much for calling, for inviting me, for addressing such a topic to this global August assembly. Thank you very much for attending this session. Very interestingly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Father. Father, I kindly request you to stop the share screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Father. Indeed, it was a very informative and illuminating session. I hope this helped us to understand more about the global relevance of our Sanskrit language. It was a journey. Sir has taken us, I mean, to all over the world, like Italy, how the Sanskrit, it has become a significant all over the world. Sir has taken us to Italy, France, America, Germany as a second home for Sanskrit. I think it was very informative session. But before the discussion, before the question and answer session, we have addressed by our advisor, the Secretary of Global Sanskrit Forum, Mr. Rajesh Kumar Mishra. I would like to request sir to address the gathering.
Thanking you, sir. Dr. Justin, sir, with folded hand.
Welcome, sir.
Really nice session. And in Hindi, you can say Gagar mein Sagar. You know, sir, these words. So once again, I have nothing left to say after this very informative lecture, sir. I just want to thank Principal Ma'am first, because for giving permission for such kind of programs. So thanking Principal Ma'am with golden hand, and in future I also want to request you, please keep it this type of blessings, Adaniya Principal Ma'am. I also want to thank two distinguished scholars, such kind of scholars. Once from is Kapil Mehta, second is Francis Arakel, sir. His unique scholars I came to know after his informative and Gagar Mein Sagar type lectures. Sir, thanking you with folded hand.
Thank you very much.
So this is the first program of GSF Global Sanskrit Forum in the state of Kerala, all due to our friend, colleague, Dr. Justin, sir. So, sir, keep it in future also. And you are our official coordinator from Global Sanskrit Forum from Kerala. Others, many scholars I have in Zoom platform, YouTube platform, on live. So I am thanking such kind of scholars who is from abroad also, I see, and every state of India, from Maharashtra, from West Bengal, Assam, Anu Sharma from Rajasthan, such kind of scholars from UP, Chhattisgarh, Bansi Lahole sir from Maharashtra, such kind of scholars with us from different states. I am thanking you, such kind of scholars. Sir, main motto of the Global Sanskrit Forum to promote our culture and ancient wisdom knowledge which is written in Sanskrit language, in not only for India, abroad also, just why we say Global Sanskrit Forum. Our international president is Professor Kapil Mehta. He is a distinguished and eminent scholars who is living in USA. And Vice President, you just listen. Professor Kapil Mehta, sir. So please, sir, keep your blessing on Global Sanskrit Forum. I have nothing to say. Just I am thanking once again, friends, Justice, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. My dear participants, feedback link will be given now itself. During the discussion time, feedback link will be shared both in the Zoom platform as well as in the YouTube live platform, the chat box. Now we have a QA session from among the participants. If you have anything to add, or if any clarifications to be made, or if you have any doubt, it's a time to clear that. Our resource person is with us. It was a very informative session. There will be your opinion, your points to add with this session. I invite your suggestions and your doubts to be clarified. If you have anything to be clarified, please unmute your microphone and speak out. Definitely, Father, it was a very fruitful session. As it was
just a minute, Justin, sir. Who is which scholars? I think on YouTube platform, they can write down their questions in chat box.
Okay.
From here, who is joining us?
Yeah, YouTube platform. Yeah. They can put your questions in the chat box.
Yes, sir. From here, from Zoom, they can ask directly. First, unmute yourself. Yes, Sonu Kumar, journalist. You want to say something? Yes, sir. Yeah, Ram Krishna. You can put your questions in Hindi. You can also put your yeah.
सर हम लोग पीएचडी कर रहे हैं, जो हम लोगों का वो है नेट क्वालिफाई है, जेआरएफ नहीं है, तो सर पीएचडी में स्कॉलरशिप नहीं मिल पाता, तो सर इसके लिए कोई चांस है? हेलो राजेश सर.
Yes, Krishna, Ram Krishna sir, you can take my phone number. You can ask this type of question personally. I am putting my number on chat box. कृष्णा जी, मैंने अपना नंबर चैट बॉक्स में रख दिया है. इस तरह के क्वेश्चन आप हमसे पर्सनली पूछ सकते हैं. मैं स्कॉलर का नंबर भी दूंगा. ठीक है सर. ओके
जी ओके सर. थैंक्स सर. प्रणाम.
The participants from Kerala, if you have anything to ask, of course, even you can ask in regional language, doesn't matter.
Yes. That's good idea.
And those are from North India, they can ask in Hindi, doesn't matter.
Just, sir, ask them in regional language. Also, you also, sir, request him in regional language.
Dear Father, it was really, as you have taken us, as you used to say, roots and fruits. Definitely you have showed ROOTS, roots of Sanskrit language, and how it has traveled to all over the world, land roots and sea roots, how it has become a globally renowned one. And the next one, when it has reached out of India, what was its fruits? So the roots and the fruits, these three things were there in your presentation. It was very excellent presentation. If there is no doubts to be clarified, if there is nothing to say, we will wind up the session with a vote of thanks. I think feedback link is already shared in the chat box. Father, we'll move to the vote of thanks.
Yes. Gopal Ram ji, you want to say something? Yes, Gopal Ram ji. Kamal Kishore, you want to say something? Nothing, sir.
If later also, if somebody has any doubt, you can ask. And the phone number and the email, everything is given there.
Yes, sir.
Whenever you have some doubt comes in your mind, you can immediately jump and write. And Ms. Raji,
Yes, sir.
we will have more contacts.
Yes.
Yeah, and your number is given now.
Yes, sir. In chat box,
Yeah,
I will.
yeah.
It is his
Your
great
blessing.
effort. It is his great hard work, Father, because he is
Yes,
doing
sir.
this great hard work day and night.
Such kind
for
of
arranging the
scholars,
webinars and all.
such kind of scholars blessing with us. It's a pleasure moment for us.
Even the name Navanalanda, that is
No,
more
Nalanda
fascinating.
Mahavir. Yes.
That is more fascinating.
Yes.
Justin, sir,
Yeah.
feedback link is not given in the chat box.
Okay, okay. Rajesh Kumar, sir,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
can you
There
share
is.
the feedback link?
I shared many times, sir.
Isn't
Now
Just see in chat
people
box.
say they don't find.
Yeah, just now it has been shared just now in the chat box.
कब आया है? मुझे दिखाई तो नहीं दे रहा.
Yeah, it is there. It is there.
कॉपी हो गया.
The feedback link shared many times in both chat box.
Sir, have you sent in the
YouTube and Zoom.
YouTube platform?
Yes. Yes. Many times, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
And more literature, review of literature we have given. So for those who have this advanced reading, advanced study, they can go through those books. That's why we first itself, at the first area itself, we have given so many n number of books, n number of articles also. So you can go through. The students, research scholars.
लिख देती हूँ. बोल ही देती हूँ ना.
बोलिए बोलिए.
ये इनवैलिड शो कर रहा है.
फीडबैक फ्रॉम इनवैलिड शो करे.
इनवैलिड शो कर रहा है.
सबके साथ यही प्रॉब्लम है.
देखिए मिश्रा जी,
सबके साथ यही प्रॉब्लम है. स्कॉलर्स जो हमसे जुड़े हुए हैं.
सर जी, हाँ जी. इनवैलिड डायनेमिक लिंक शो कर रहा है सर.
Invalid
नहीं
link.
नहीं हमारा तो हो रहा है.
Invalid link is shared.
आप जिनका इनवैलिड शो कर रहा है वो मुझसे व्हाट्सएप पे तुरंत भेज देंगे. मैं व्हाट्सएप नंबर शेयर कर रहा हूँ. उन विद्वानों को मैं पर्सनली भेज दूंगा. ऐसे 3-4 ही होंगे, ज्यादा नहीं होंगे. मैंने अपना नंबर चैट बॉक्स में शेयर कर दिया है. आप मेरी बात को सुन पा रहे होंगे. इस पे आप पर्सनल व्हाट्सएप कर दीजिए, मैं व्हाट्सएप पे भेज दूंगा. उसमें आप भर सकते हैं. इसके लिए आपके पास 7 बजे तक का समय है, 15 मिनट.
Sir has sent
जी,
his
just
WhatsApp
send.
number in the chat box.
सर व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे भी डाल सकते हो ना आप.
नहीं चैट यूट्यूब फीडबैक लिंक कभी भी व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे नहीं जाता है.
But some of them are facing difficulties.
फल तो उसको मिलना चाहिए जिसने परिश्रम किया है.
सही बात.
तो आप सब परिश्रम किए हैं तो आप फल आपको ही मिलना चाहिए.
ओके सर.
I request you note down Rajesh Kumar Mishra sir's WhatsApp number. Those who have not received the certificate, you can contact in that WhatsApp number.
Yes.
So we'll wind up with the words of thanksgiving.
Yes.
If it was a very informative session.
Justin?
Yes, Father.
Can I ask one question? Professor Mehta ji.
I think sir left, sir. He gave a message.
Yes.
He gave a message in the chat box. He has to attend a meeting.
Okay.
I think he's left.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Father.
Yeah.
Because we Indians
लिंक नहीं चल रहा. इनवैलिड आ रहा है.
have a feeling that they think that due to the inventions, I mean, as we say, the Westerners came here, but some of them have given the wrong explanation for our scriptures and all. So they think that because of this wrong explanation which they have given, actually we were misguided. What is your point of view in this type of opinions? Can you hear me?
Hello? No.
Can you hear me, Father?
Yeah, once you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes. Please, once more, you just repeat. I could not follow.
Some of them say that due to the inventions and due to the attacks or the and foreign people, when they came India and when they studied Sanskrit and when they were giving explanations for our scriptures and manuscripts, actually it was not the right way of explanation, or it was not the right way of clarifications which done by them. So they say that we were misguided by them. What is your point of view in that?
Well, there are plus points and minus points. Now, you cannot find absolute objectivity. Always subjectivity will be there. Is one man is doing something, his subjective idea will be there in all his activities. So absolute objectivity is a mirage. What we can do is lessen the subjectivity and attempt for objectivity. When the Europeans, that's why I told, in the form of colonizers, in the form of warriors, in the form of pilgrimage, in the form of missionaries, in the form of merchants, traders, they have these subjective ideas. Even when we Indians, when we go to Europe, America, we have our subjective ideologies. So human beings are not without subjectivity. All human beings are prone to subjectivity. What we have to do is lessen the subjectivity and more hope for objectivity. And the Europeans, when they came, they also had the subjective ideas, subjective specs, the spectacle, the specs which they took, they were seeing in that specs. So reality, that's why we pray, oh Bhagavan, remove the lid of the way. Tatvam pushna pavrunu satya dharmaya drishtaye. So the reality, we cannot say it is wrong or right. Even when Max Muller printed in Devanagari script Rigveda, even the Pune Brahmins, some of them were quite against him, because a Mlacha reading Sanskrit and knowing Sanskrit, and not only Sanskrit, Rigveda, not Atharvaveda, not Yajurveda, touching Rituveda, and not only touching, printing, a Mlacha land, a Mlacha man. And the Pune people or Indian good scholars, traditional scholars, they were not planning to allow him. And later, when it got published, printed, copies brought to Pune, and they read it. And they even had this wide spectrum, wide mind to acknowledge that it is right. Even basing on this Max Muller's Rigveda, their manuscripts, they were correcting. So this sort of open-mindedness, initially there will be oppositions, Mlacha touching. Still, Max Muller did it with full commitment to Sanskrit. That's why I told, a more Indian, a more Sanskrit man, dedicated, committed to Sanskrit studies. And not even coming to India, staying there, studying in Sanskrit, studying Rigveda the whole life. We have more, and he himself called him Moksha Mula instead of Max Muller. Even this man had his subjective ideas. Those subjective ideas we have to keep aloof. The net result is a global Sanskrit, a universal Sanskrit, and going Sanskrit abroad with a firm footing, with a firm research, with a firm studies. That is a net result. Okay.
Thank you very much, Father. Definitely, we have to salute the dedicated and intellectual efforts of Western scholars. At the same time, we have to be very much proud of our tradition because we are the parts of a great tradition. The scholars, what they have gained from us, and the Sanskrit, it is not ayam nichapparo vedi gananalaku chedasam. Of course, it is only mind. That type of thinking is of narrow-minded people. We have that, it is all of us. It's our what treasure, that Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, that way of feeling. This full universe is a family. That where the biggest truth was taught from Sanskrit language, which by Sanskrit language. So let us keep that thought in our mind and have that type of thinking, that universal family concept. Now let me wind up. This is the time to express our deep sense of sincere gratitude to one and all. First of all, I would like to thank our very beloved principal who presided over the function, Reverend Sister Dr. Gisma Teres, who gave me permission to organize such a very informative session. On behalf of everyone gathered here, I extend my sincere gratitude to Reverend Sister Dr. Gisma Teres. Thank you very much, Sister. Now, my sincere words of thanks go to Professor Kapil Mehta, who was our guest of honor. Now he's not in the meeting. He has left for an important meeting, but still, even in his hectic schedule, he joined with us and he addressed our gathering and he graced the occasion. Thank you very much for your valuable presence. In your absence also, we extend our sincere gratitude towards you, sir. Now, I must thank Reverend Father Francis Arakel, who was our resource person. His presentation was, actually it was a journey, how Sanskrit has traveled all over the world and how it has become a global language and how it has become that when it came out, then only the language has got its global significance. If it was only in India, we only will be knowing and it will be in a limited space. But how Sanskrit has come out of India and how it has grown, that was presented by Dr. Francis A.P., our resource person. Let me thank Reverend Father Francis Arakel on behalf of Global Sanskrit Forum, Department of Sanskrit, and IQAC of Little Flower College. Also on behalf of everyone gathered here. Thank you very much, Father. Thank you very much. Now let me thank the backbone of Global Sanskrit Forum, respected Rajesh Kumar Mishra. As I said, he's the person, he's the backbone, because I know to arrange one webinar, how much effort we are taking. So at least twice or thrice in a week, he's arranging and he's organizing such an informative sessions in all the states of India, international, national, and state level seminars. Definitely, when the knowledge is shared, it's a platform for sharing our knowledge. I salute and congratulate, and I extend my sincere thanks, Rajesh Kumar Mishra sir, for your valuable time and for your all efforts. Let your all efforts be successful and fruitful. Thank you very much, sir. Let me thank all the participants, especially teachers, my colleagues, friends, research scholars, participants from all over the world and from all the states, not only from Kerala, from all the states from India have participated. Let me thank each and everyone for your valuable time and for being with us in this Zoom platform, also in the YouTube live platform. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Justin sir, okay.
Sir, we will
हमारे बीच में ओके हमारे बीच में उत्तर प्रदेश से को कन्वीनर मैम ऑफ द स्टेट उत्तर प्रदेश डॉक्टर अनीता त्यागी मैम इज हियर. प्रणमामी मैम.
Namaskar, ma'am.